It is that time of week again, that's right, it's time for the movie wrap-up. You're watching Steve's Movie Wrap-Up, episode 34, right here on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. The first movie we'll be reviewing in this episode is A Quiet Place Day 1. Starting with A Quiet Place Day 1, which I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd. A Quiet Place Day 1 is a prequel to the A Quiet Place franchise, so do you need to have seen A Quiet Place Part 1 and 2 to understand this movie? No, you don't. However, though, as this is a prequel, this actually, if anything, works as something you should definitely watch before you've seen the main movies in the franchise, which are Part 1 and Part 2. Starring John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. A Quiet Place Day 1 doesn't star John Krasinski or Emily Blunt, sadly. However, though, it does star Joseph Quinn. A lot of people would know him as Eddie in the Netflix original series Stranger Things, and Lupita Nyong'o, who are the main leads in this. And I must say that they did an amazing job with their acting performance in this film. The music scoring, I thought, was done rather beautifully and fits the scenes rather well and adds more emotion and at times some tension when there is tension. I will say that the cinematography is brilliant in this as well, especially the lighting as well. The lighting was done really well within the film. I also must give credit to the other star of the movie, which is the cat that we see the main lead of the film, called Sammy, carry around throughout most of the film, who is a support cat. Does that exist? I know support dogs exists out there, but didn't know that support cats exist. Well, anyways, the cat is also happened to be called Frodo as well. So there's a little reference to Lord of the Rings. Either the director likes Lord of the Rings, or the character Sammy liked that franchise before the end of the world took place. The film is set in New York City, and I must say that we do get to see New York City's lovely scenery at times, which was nice. I thought that the creatures, despite not seeing them for too long on screen, did look great, and there was at times seen some tension when they did appear on screen. They did, when we did get to see them on screen, remind me of something you might have seen in the Netflix show I mentioned earlier in the review, titled Stranger Things. I really hope that Joseph Quinn didn't have any trauma being on set with those creatures around. I know, the creatures are CGI, they aren't real. I do, however, have a few complaints with this film. Firstly, I do kind of wish we actually knew how people found out that they couldn't make a sound. We just see Sammy fall unconscious, and then next thing we know, people are telling her to stay quiet when she comes round after being knocked out by a blast. I know there was a chopper going around with soldiers or forces in the chopper saying for people to stay quiet, but how does the force know that people have to stay quiet, calm and quiet, for the creatures to not kill them? Also, wouldn't those soldiers up in the chopper die anyways, because the chopper was making a loud noise, which would have caused the creatures to destroy it, killing the soldiers in the process? The other issue that I do have with this film is the fact that nothing exciting or original really happens in this film. If you have seen the main films in the franchise, then you are pretty much expecting the same thing to kind of happen here, and unfortunately for me, this film didn't do anything interesting or original that I will remember for a long time. Just going back to the cat, Frodo, in this film, I love the fact that for the majority of the film, the cat doesn't purr or meow at any point apart from the beginning of the film. You know, this is when it took them even longer to film the film, because every time the cat meowed on set, the director was probably like, cut, we're gonna have to redo that entire scene again. The cat meowed again. And this is why, folks, you don't work with animals on a movie set, particularly a movie titled A Quiet Place, where you have to be dead silent for the majority of the film. I will say though, the cat was cute, and if you are a cat lover out there, then yes, this film was also made for you. The film is directed by Michael Sarnowski, and it does have a running time of 1 hour and 40 minutes. There was some scenes in this film halfway through that did make me feel confused, so maybe I will add that to the collection of problems I had with this film as well. But A Quiet Place Day 1 is currently out now in cinemas and theatres worldwide if you've not yet seen it. Space Cadet. So, Space Cadet, I gave 2 stars over on Letterboxd. Emma Roberts, Tom Hopper, Poppy Liu and Gabrielle Union all star in the new movie that came out on Independence Day in the US, July 4th, titled Space Cadet, over on the streaming service Amazon Prime Video. Was this worth the watch? Well, yes and no. For me, I would say this is a movie you could easily stick on in the background for background noise. You don't really need to pay much attention to it. Why? Because this movie doesn't really take itself too seriously. Yes, there are some light-hearted moments in this, which some people can find rather wholesome at times, but for me, I found this movie to be rather goofy and silly, and a film, as mentioned, doesn't really take itself too seriously. It's like one of those movies where you have the point of view, you're at a girls' night slumber party, and they just go, "So ladies, tonight we'll be sitting down and watching the movie Space Cadet on Prime Video because after all, Emma Roberts is a queen." I don't even know why I'm doing this, but there we go. I mean, I don't know what kind of woman would be doing this at a slumber party, but okay, there we go. But yeah, so anyway, so yeah, but it's that kind of movie. Is this a movie that I do recommend? Well, for people like me, not really. No, if you're a woman looking for looking to find a movie for a girls' night in or having a slumber party, then sure, check this one out. I'm sure you'll have a great time with this flick. If you're a space nerd who's really into space, then maybe you'll also get a kick out of this film as well. I will say though, I did think the performances were mainly fine with this film, but I wouldn't say were brilliant. The music scoring sounded rather cheesy and upbeat. There were some beautiful pieces of cinematography that film lovers will find within this film, though that were shot nicely, which I did enjoy and appreciate. The movie has a running time of 1 hour and 50 minutes. I don't know why, but there was a little part of me that felt as though this would have been a film you would have found or would have been watching on Disney Channel back in the day. It had at times those kind of vibes. There were also scenes in this film, by the way, that also gave off those summer kind of vibes as well. So, and if you have already seen this movie for yourself, then you'll know what I mean. Is Space Cadet a movie that I would check out again? Probably not, but I appreciate the movie for what it did. The messaging behind the movie as well, I do appreciate that. Is this a movie that I would likely stick on, though, just for the sake of background noise? That's a likely possibility. I will say as well that the script for this, for me, was also okay. There was a few times where there was a few moments in this film that made me snigger or laugh out loud, but I wouldn't say that this film was giving me belly laughs all throughout the film, unfortunately. The plot for the movie is about Rex, a Florida party girl who is played by Emma Roberts, by the way, who turns out to be the only hope for the NASA space program after a fluke puts her in training with other candidates who may have better resumes but don't have her smarts, heart and moxie. Space Cadet is now streaming over on the streaming service Amazon Prime Video. The Watchers. The Watchers, I gave 2 stars over on Letterboxd. I've only just seen the movie The Watchers, or if you live here in the UK, for some reason it is titled The Watched. Not sure why, But what did I think of this movie? Well, it did have some interesting moments that I did enjoy in this movie, and some moments that I didn't enjoy in this movie. We have Dakota Fanning, who plays the character of Mina. We do get to know a little bit of her backstory throughout the film, by the way, how her mother died and how she abandoned her twin sister as well. But aside from that actress, though, I don't really know any of the other supporting cast members who I may have seen in projects in the past that they may have starred in. But what I can say is that the supporting cast members in this film did a great job, by the way, and they played their respective characters rather well. The names of the other characters are rather easy to remember, and I think they are developed fine as well. You have Madeline, Kira, John and Daniel. I don't know why, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but this feels like a movie that was maybe done during the COVID pandemic, particularly as this story doesn't really involve too many characters and is mainly shot in the forest, and I could have sworn for the majority of the time the characters were spaced out from one another. So maybe there is a chance here that this film was shot, or maybe one of the last films to be shot during the COVID pandemic, when there was certain rules and regulations put in place. It also reminded me slightly of a film that came out a few years ago on Disney Plus titled No Exit for some reason as well. I said this during a recent review of A Quiet Place Day 1, and I'm going to mention it here. The bird, who is named Darwin, who also was a standout in this film. That's probably two films I have seen this week where the animal also happens to be the standout in the movie. Not that I am complaining about that. There is a twist in this movie which, for those who are interested in seeing this movie, yeah, for those who are interested in seeing this movie for themselves, I'm not going to spoil what the twist is. I'm not going to lie, you know, I didn't really see the twist coming, to be honest with you. So, you know, it was kind of great to see that there was a twist in this movie. And it was kind of interesting as well to see how the twist played out on screen, which was great. I am also going to say this as well, because there was one character in particular called Madeline, and I don't know why, but for some bizarre reason she kind of reminded me, and I don't know whether it was the hair or if it was the way she was dressed and stuff, I don't really know, but she kind of reminded me of like a character that you would have easily or maybe have seen in like a TV series like Game of Thrones, or like you would have seen in or the Game of Thrones spin-off show House of Dragon, or even in the Amazon Prime Video TV series Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, which by the way is series 2 of that is coming August 29th for any of those Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power fans out there. The film does have a running time of 1 hour and 41 minutes, and I can't help but think this was a more of a slow burning kind of film. At times the dialogue felt a bit clunky in places, and I did wish we saw more gore elements or more victims being taken away by these creatures named the Watchers, which sadly we didn't. I will also complain about the use of CGI for the birds flying through the forest as well. Yeah, that was easily noticeable from where I was watching it. Ishana Night Shyamalan is the one who directed this film, and who I believe is the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan, who, by the way, is bringing out the new movie Trap, which is releasing in cinemas and theatres worldwide in August 2024. And yes, I will be reviewing that movie very, very soon. But this movie is Ishana's first movie as a director, her directorial debut, and I will say that I did enjoy this one, and I think I would be happy to see what Ishana does have up her sleeve as a director with her next project, if she is planning to make more movies, which no doubt I reckon she will. But I should also note that Aishana's father, M. Night Shyamalan, also produced this film as well. There is a moment in this film where Mina, played by Fanning, is watching this reality TV show called Lair of Love, or something along those lines. Excuse me, sorry, I just burped. And there's this guy who is a contestant on the show who says, yeah, I think that Chloe is Pang. You know what I mean? Pang. I mean, come on. Who even says things like that anymore? I haven't heard anyone say that word in years. One final thing I will mention about this film is the cinematography. I thought that was done and shot rather beautifully, along with the music scoring in this film as well, and the drone footage of when they were going through the forest. Again, it was done rather well. I hate to compare this to the first Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey film, but seeing the shot of the forest for some reason reminded me of the drone footage we see in that movie, and that's nothing bad, by the way, because I did enjoy the drone footage of the 100 Acre Wood in that film, and I enjoyed the drone footage shot in this film as well. Is this a film that I would happily watch again? Likely. Probably with someone who doesn't really know what they are letting themselves in for, especially with the twist in this film as well. I would love to see someone react to the twist in this film. Humane. And the final film that I have watched this week is titled Humane, which I've gave the lowest rating of the week in terms of films that I have watched, which is a 1-star rating over on Letterboxd. So another film directed by another member of the Cronenberg family, another family member of the Cronenbergs has entered the chat / game / director's chair. And this time, Humane was directed by Caitlin Cronenberg. Is there any more family members from the Cronenbergs who are going to start directing more films? Or is that it now? Anyways, what did I think of this film? Well, based on my 1-star rating for it, it wasn't great. And yes, this movie was made for Shudder as well, who have recently released movies like Late Night with the Devil, which received high praise, especially from me as well. And I am hearing some high praise for their upcoming horror movie, In a Violent Nature, which I will be reviewing soon. But back to Humane though, and for me, this film didn't work too well. The dialogue was a bit hit and miss at times, rather clunky and all over the place. The film itself, for the most part, takes place in a single location, which is a house, and is based upon a rich family called the York family, who, as mentioned, happen to be rich, or rather well known. Some have appeared on a TV news channel, others have appeared on a TV cookery show. I will say though that the music scoring was rather interesting. It did at times build tension or suspense, which I did enjoy, and of course they did put that kind of suspense into, like, you know, the scenes where it was needed, really. There isn't many actors or actresses in this who I do recognise. There is one actress who some will recognise, called Emily Hampshire, who has starred in Schitt's Creek on Netflix. I recognise her from the 2017 movie titled Mother, which starred Jennifer Lawrence. Great film, by the way, and I will say that that Emily Hampshire did give a great performance. Actually, no. For me, she was the standout performer out of the rest of them. There was some good use of lighting at times as well, which I thought was decent, and at times there was some decent cinematography shots as well to enjoy here and there. I will give this the benefit of the doubt. Yes, this is Caitlin's first directorial debut movie, so I can't be too harsh and give it too much negative criticism, but I will say that while The plot was interesting and intriguing. I just wish that it had a much better execution and a better ending as well. For those wondering what the movie is about, well, in the wake of an environmental collapse that is forcing humanity to shed 20% of its population, a family dinner erupts into chaos when a father's plan to enlist in the government's new euthanasia program goes horribly wrong, awry. You see, what you hear or read, so you see, when you hear or read a plot like that, it does intrigue and give you some interest to watch. And yes, I do still recommend people to give this movie a watch, despite my 1-star rating here, because this film might interest you. And you might enjoy this film more than what than how I enjoyed it. I just wish, in my own opinion, and as mentioned, that this film had a much better execution than it did. Maybe this is a lesson that Caitlin will learn when she directs her next project, if she is planning to do any more movies or direct any more movies in the future. I know this is bad, but for this final link of this part of the movie wrap up, I've literally just had to take my jumper off because I was getting a little bit hot in my jumper. But anyway, listen guys, that is it for this week's episode of the movie wrap up. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know in the comment section what movies you guys have been watching this past week, whether it's old, new, in cinemas, on streaming service. As always, love to hear your thoughts. Next week there is going to be another movie wrap up video coming for you on the 14th of July at 4 PM UK time, right here on my YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, next week I'm going to be trying to get out and about and go into the cinema a little bit more. There is a lot more films coming out at the moment, which I'm trying to get through as many as possible, and I do think that there are a couple of movies coming out on streaming as well that I do want to watch. To be fair, this week there was a film that did come out called Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, which stars Eddie Murphy. It came out on Netflix. I may, even though I've not seen the other 3 Beverly Hills Cops films, but I may give Beverly Hills Cops Axel F a watch on Netflix maybe at some point this week when I do get time, in between going to the cinema and stuff like that. But anyway, listen guys, thank you for watching. Your next video is out tomorrow, Monday the 8th of July 2024 at 4 PM UK time. It is my weekly vlog. It is going to be the last weekly vlog that I'm going to be doing for a while. I do explain why in this week's episode of the weekly vlog, so do feel free to check that out. It is going to be the last one for a while, and then after that, Thursday this week, I've got a Samsung Galaxy Unpacked video coming out, because Samsung Galaxy Unpacked is happening on Wednesday this week, and then Sunday next week is when I'll be back with my next movie wrap up. But until then though, it's goodbye, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys again in my next YouTube video.